I'm gonna give you 7 plyometric exercises to improve your fast twitch muscle, and we're gonna start right now. When I go to the Olympics, when I've been to 10 different world championships, and when I'm writing programs for athletes and coaches, oftentimes I like to use this first exercise, and that's a simple box jump. Now, a lot of people will talk trash on the box jump, and what they're saying might actually have some type of credence to it, because oftentimes you'll see people with these huge boxes and then they'll land with their hips below their knees. The reason I love the box jump for building fast twitch muscle is that it's an easy exercise, it's easy to get done, and you can do different variations. So I'm gonna give you the box jump, but of multiple different variations that you can implement today to improve that fast twitch muscle. First thing is just learning how to execute a nice counter movement into a jump with arm swings. A lot of younger athletes or inexperienced athletes, beginners, might struggle with the arm swing. Okay, so here, jump. Another thing that we'll see consistently with athletes that are a little bit more novice or a little bit younger is that they struggle with distance to the box. So they might be here jumping, or they might jump and when they land, they might come back too far and then they can't execute a quick repetitive jump. If we go box jump, come down, pause, box jump, come down, pause, box jump, double bounce, box jump, double bounce. Now, boom, boom. So you can use that quick progression to help the athlete learn how to execute that high speed movement with that elasticity. And when you execute that pause, that's where you'll start to see the athlete when they jump off, okay? They might jump off a little bit further here, and then they start to recognize like, wow, that distance might be a little far, okay? So here, pause. Now they can get back up there a little bit easier. So use the box jump as a good teaching tool. You got the counter movement, you got that fast reaction, distance off the box, arm swing. It's really easy and it takes that twitchiness to the next level. Now the second exercise we're gonna show you is something I learned from Joey Burgles. We've used it in training, but some of the stuff that he talked about in our podcast is what I'm gonna be implementing here today. Now, when I'm thinking about being twitchy, I often like to think about 3 different levels of twitchiness, okay? So you're gonna have that first aspect of actually being twitchy with a very, very forced action, okay? So let's say I'm doing a back squat and I'm driving up fast. I'm really actively thinking I need to be fast on the way up on the concentric. Same with a bench press, something like that. Even if I'm doing an explosive push-up, 2 boxes, that's gonna be something that I'm thinking about actually doing rapidly. Same thing with a box jump. The next movement here, this is going to be a single leg pogo jump. And what we can do, we don't even have to have hurdles here. So you can do this out in your backyard. I like to do this oftentimes just to warm up before I even go out on a run. And my right leg is always the dead leg. So I might look at this and just go here, boom, boom. Notice I put in that little stutter step, okay? Boom, boom. That was my first go around. Terrible, right? Slow. Think about how when we did those box jumps, we went through slow, then we added in the stutter, then we went in and we just executed that fast box jump. I literally just did that sort of by accident in the beginning, and it's the same thing I could do on my left leg. Here. Now I go here. Okay. So the thing that I've learned here is that when we're doing pogos like this, single leg pogos, ground contact time, and if you spent time watching that Michael Drock video, ground contact time should be short. Force during the ground contact time should be high. And this is a great movement to train that. Then we want to think about raising that hip height, reacting quickly, getting that hip height high while having minimal time on the ground. So we're here, boom, 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 boom. And one thing you'll start to see with really high level athletes is that when they land, they sort of drive the other leg up. And that's really starting to trigger then that whip from the hip action in sprinting, okay? So you can use this exercise with any level athlete. If you have a younger kid or a novice athlete, let's say you have somebody who's 30, they just wanna start working out. You can do something like this, like, hey, we don't even have to have the mini hurdles. We'll go here, just like this, okay? And then over time, let's say 3-4 months, they work into doing something like this if they have that strength. Now the next series I'm gonna give you is another one. I'm gonna give you a couple progressions and it's very, very challenging. And if you watch our lateral speed video, I talked about when you hit a crossover here, your adductor, okay, your groin here provides a large amount of stability in your hip. And when we're moving at high speeds, we have to be able to handle those high speeds throughout our hip girdle, throughout all of our joints. So we have to have really strong co-contraction. And that's where this one comes into play, is we're gonna actually do a side-to-side jump with our inside leg. So this is really hard. I'm not that good at this. And we're gonna jump and switch. Jump, switch. Notice I'm doing the stop. I just did that stutter. Here, boom, boom. So we'll go through that and hit that. Now, one thing that we do inside of our strength training at Peak Strength is that oftentimes on athlete day, in peak strength, we will do a unilateral movement like this, and then we'll pair it with a bilateral exercise. And that's where the next group comes into play. I'm gonna give you a couple more progressions, and this is something that we consistently do inside of peak strength, okay? When you're executing a workout in peak strength, you might have a periodized system in place where you start with the exposure phase, you get to the comprehension phase, but as you work through that periodization, okay, the first program you get might be an easier version here. So we'll go like this into a pogo, okay? So broad to pogo. So that might be something that you see in peak strength in the first program, okay? So here, boom, boom. Now, the second program that you get might be, and this would be on a comprehension phase, you'll go here, boom, boom, up to that box. So you go broad to box. Now, if we go back over here, I'm gonna go here. Let's pretend that I'm on that rest timer, which is also inside peak strength. I'm gonna rest for about 2.5 minutes. Now let my body recover a little bit, let my brain recover. I need to execute this one a little bit faster. And we're trying to focus on getting a little bit higher. So we'll go here, boom, 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 boom. That movement, okay, and you can see my errors in the beginning, is freaking hard. But if you're a wide receiver, if you're a quarterback, if you're a freaking basketball player, it's absolutely phenomenal for cutting, okay? It's really great for that fast twitch, but two, for being more agile. Now, let's say I'm going into closer to my peak. I'm 8 weeks out from my peak and I'm inside peak strength. I just progressed from broad to pogo, broad to box jump. Now the next progression would be here, broad to hurdle hop. Here, boom. Okay, and this is really freaking challenging too, because you have to gauge how far is my broad. I'm going horizontally, and then when I land, I need to transfer that energy to vertical. So you start to make these calculations. So if I work back and forth, now let's pretend we're on that third phase inside peak strength. I wanna execute this high speed. Boom, 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 okay? Now we're building into that more complex series. We're gonna go broad to hurdle hop, broad to a second hurdle hop. I think movements that are good are typically exercises that you'll be able to see if you can improve. And that might mean raising the hurdles. That might mean you have a cone here that enables you to do a broad jump of like 7 feet and then do a hurdle hop. And then the following week, you have a cone at 8 feet. So now you're making progress and you understand where that progress is coming from, instead of just doing exercises and not really having a gauge of where that progress is. So I'll go here. So you can use these two exercises. This is stuff that you'll see inside of our strength training app, Peak Strength. Head over to peakstrength.app, the Google Play Store, the Apple iOS Store. Download that today, start to get into that program. But we got a couple more exercises to show you. Okay, so the next two movements are literally GS standbys. The final exercise is probably what I believe to be the best movement for getting twitchy AF. Twitchy out of the blocks. Twitchy if you're trying to go take a jump step or anything like that. Now, I wanna show you the progression to lead into both of these series. Something that's simple, and if you think back to the Joey Burgles series that I'd show with the single leg pogos, you can just go and practice here, okay? And even if you can't jump, let's say, I talked about my right leg earlier. Let's just say I'm just going here. This is a really easy drill, good drill for me to get comfortable. Stand in place and do that, like 5 sets of 10 on each leg. You can see athletes make really good adaptations around 8 to 10 reps on a single leg pogo. So you saw me doing that easy here, right? Now all of a sudden we can add in boom, boom, boom. Then we get to the point where it's like, okay, now, boom, 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 boom. We can think about that. You can hold on. You don't have to hold on here. Boom, boom. But we just want to focus on quick time on the ground, short time on the ground, build up that rapid force. That's gonna lead to the next part of this progression. Remember, I mentioned I really like using exercises where we have measurements, where we have benchmarks, where we can see that progress. The next thing we can practice is, okay, I got my box. Boom, land, boom, land. And you notice I'm pausing now. Boom, 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 boom. I'm adding in that stutter. And then finally I can go here, boom, boom, okay? Over time, work to make that as smooth as possible. This is part of the progression that's going to lead us to that final exercise. We take the single leg hops, single leg banded hops, single leg box jumps. You can even get to the point where you're going like a bound here, get real creative with it, all unilateral. Here's where I want to get into something cool. This is not the last exercise. It's the second last exercise. This is something I just did actually last week with Nick Singleton, the starting running back at Penn State, where we went over how to improve some of his cuts. He's known for being very fast. He's known for running hard. One thing that we did, let's go hurdle hops here, boom, land here, boom, boom, back to the hurdle hop. He'd land one leg, jump, and then back over. Now, when Nick was doing this, he actually was landing on one leg there. But the big factor here on this series is that if you notice, I have these little mini hurdles with the bar out. So one thing that I tend to see with athletes is that when they do a series like this, they might land, and I'll show you, I'll demonstrate here. They'll go here, boom, and then they sort of take like a half jump, and their knee or hip here is barely even over the line. It's barely even outside. And that means the intent or the intention to cut isn't there. So we wanna make sure if you guys are doing this at a park or at a football field, wherever, you have lines, you have mini hurdles, whatever you need. You have a bag, you can put a bag there, and you jump as far out and far back in as you can, because that's where that intent's gonna be. So you're here, boom, 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 boom. Okay, so we wanna see that travel outside. We wanna see the hips drive out, come back in, and if you plant, get out of that. It's a lot of that quad, glute, that's gonna be fast twitch. Now, you know I love stair jumps. I think stair jumps are arguably one of the best teaching tools. You can do them real easy. It helps athletes learn the arm swing, helps athletes learn the projection because their chest goes forward. It's like running hills to me. You can't go wrong. So I'd be here, boom, boom. So it's really simple. Now, when I talked about the acceleration coming out of the blocks, hitting that big layup, whatever we're doing, we're coming off one leg. This next movement, I think, is arguably the easiest and best way to improve your acceleration. There's a couple big factors here. Is that when we're doing something like a single leg stair jump, okay, so I'm in position, I'm gonna have my projection here, okay, I wanna go, land, okay, and then I wanna think about cycling that knee back through. Remember when we did those single leg pogos, I talked about this opposing leg coming through, and that essentially is whipping from the hip when you're doing a plyometric. That's why this is gonna transfer really well to your top end speed as well. So we'll go here, boom. We need to make sure that our heel's not collapsing. Okay, so we need to be here. This ankle needs to be stiff. So that's where some of the isometric stuff that we've done in the past videos, where we'll do like a isometric hold in a split stance, that comes into play with an exercise like this. We wanna land, this needs to be rigid to provide that foundation. The hip comes through, we extend from the knee, we extend from the hip here, hamstring speed, glute helps with that extension. That's gonna lead to a faster execution. So we're here, boom, 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 boom. You could do this for like 6 sets on each leg. This is something that you can do too a lot because the steps are not as abusive on your body. And that's why it transfers so well. So make sure you guys use all of these plyometrics. Use these progressions as effectively as possible. Oftentimes we'll use them in warm-ups and then we'll lead into those big sessions. Head over to peakstrength.app, the Google Play Store, the Apple iOS Store. You can download Peak Strength today because remember, freaks, if you want to become a champion, you've always got to cultivate your power. Peace.